Oh my God. What happened? 1 million downloads.
You did it.
We did it.
Odogu, your wife is trending faster than you, bro. Well, I'm proud of her. My backend framework is trending. They're calling it revolutionary.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you, darling. Welcome to Stories from Light. Tell us where you are watching from in the comment section. Enjoy the story.
The city was loud that night. Traffic lights blinking, Danfo buses arguing with Keek drivers, generators humming like background music to ambition. Inside a small apartment in Surulere, 2 laptops glowed in the dark. Grace was smiling at her screen. Her fintech app had just crossed 1 million downloads. 1 million! Her phone kept buzzing, LinkedIn notifications, voice notes, congratulatory texts. Grace, you're the future of Nigerian tech. International standard designer. Don't forget us when you relocate. Charles stood behind her, arms around her shoulders. I always knew, he whispered, you're different. He meant it. He was proud. Until later that night, at a rooftop lounge in Victoria Island, someone laughed and said, Charles, your wife done blow past you for tech, bro. Hope you can keep up. Everybody laughed. Charles laughed too. But something small shifted. A tiny voice whispered, what if she outgrows you? Months passed. Then it was Charles's turn. He released a backend framework that developers couldn't stop talking about. Even with bad Nigerian internet, it ran smoothly. Tech Twitter exploded. Backend boss. Charles is carrying Nigeria. Silicon Valley should be calling. Grace was proud. Until someone leaned close at work and said, be careful, when men start blowing like this, they change. That night they both lay in the same bed. But their thoughts were far apart. Nobody argued. Nobody fought. But something invisible had entered the room. Comparison. They started keeping quiet score. Who was trending more? Who got invited to speak? Whose post had more engagement? It wasn't loud, but it was growing. And rivalry doesn't shout when it enters. It whispers. Sunday morning. The noise of Lagos felt softer from their balcony. Grace held her Bible, tea steaming beside her. Charles scrolled absent-mindedly through tech updates on his phone. Then Grace read aloud. No one can receive anything unless God gives it from heaven. Charles looked up. She continued. I am not the Messiah, I am only here to prepare the way. He must become greater and greater, and I must become less and less. Silence. The city hummed in the distance. Charles leaned back. John the Baptist didn't compete, he said slowly. He knew who he was, and he knew who he was not. Grace nodded. He wasn't insecure when Jesus became more popular. Another silence. Then Grace said something that changed everything. Why are we acting like we're opponents? That question hung in the air. They thought about the subtle comments, the silent comparisons, the small jealousy they never admitted. Charles exhaled. When you win, it should feel like I win. Grace's eyes softened. When you shine, it should make me feel secure, not threatened. They both realized something deep. They weren't fighting each other. They were fighting fear. Fear of being overshadowed, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough. Charles reached for her hand. We are wearing the same jersey. Grace smiled through tears. Then why are we keeping score? That morning, they prayed a different kind of prayer. Not for more success. Not for more money. But for contentment. For clarity. For unity. And something lifted. Rivalry lost its grip. After that Sunday, they became intentional. Grace redesigned Charles's project website to make it more user-friendly. Charles optimized the backend for her side app without her even asking. When Grace was invited to speak at TechFest Lagos, she said, "You should hear my husband too, he built something powerful." When Charles got a consulting offer in Abuja, he replied, "My wife is the best designer I know, you need her." They stopped competing. They started collaborating. And something beautiful happened. The tech community began saying, "Those two, they build differently." Not because they were the most famous, but because they were unified. At the launch of their joint startup, a reporter asked, "So who's the real brain behind this company?" Grace laughed. "That's like asking who's more important in a heartbeat, the left chamber or the right." Charles added, "If one stops working, everything collapses." They had learned what many couples never do. Success is not a limited resource. Your partner's light does not reduce yours. It multiplies it. When you're on the same team, their greatness is not your competition. It's your covering. And that day, standing under the Lagos sky, they finally understood. He must become greater, I must become less. Not because one is smaller, but because love is bigger than ego. And when one light shines, the whole house glows. This story is inspired by the book of John chapter 3, verse 26 to 30 in NLT version. So John's disciples came to him and said, "Rabbi, the man you met on the other side of the Jordan River, the one you identified as the Messiah, is also baptizing people, and everybody is going to him instead of coming to us." John replied, "No one can receive anything unless God gives it from heaven. You yourselves know how plainly I told you, I am not the Messiah, I am only here to prepare the way for him. It is the bridegroom who marries the bride, and the bridegroom's friend is simply glad to stand with him and hear his vows. Therefore I am filled with joy at his success. He must become greater and greater, and I must become less and less."
Hope you enjoyed our story.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
See you in the next story.